Hello everyone, hope you guys are doing well. So today we will be starting with another chapter, and in this we will be learning about specificity, inheritance and the cascade effect. Now remember, CSS stands for cascading style sheets. Style sheets basically are a set of rules that that indicate what style should be applied, and like we haven't studied about the cascade effect yet. Now, chapters 2 and 3 showed how document structure and CSS selectors know you have to apply a variety of styles to the elements. Knowing that every valid document generates a structural tree, you can create selectors and target elements. So what he's saying is every HTML document will be converted into a tree-like structure, and then based on the selectors that target elements, where we can target elements based on the structures and then style them. But the structure is what allows the selectors to function and also is the central to say a singularly crucial aspects of CSS inheritance. Now, what is inheritance? Inheritance is a mechanism by which the property values are passed from an element to a descendant element. When determining which value should apply to an element, a user must not only consider inheritance but also the specificity of declarations as well as the origin of the declarations itself. This process of consideration is called as cascade. Now, inheritance is what do you mean by cascade effect? Cascade effect is something. Let's let's first understand what do you mean by cascade. Like what is the meaning of cascade in English? Is is open it on? Is it? Why does it want me to sign in? Let's sign in with. Oh yeah, wait. Why is it not letting me in? I guess OpenAI is down right now. Yeah, it's cascade is something. Okay, so basically it's a small waterfall, typically one, okay, a process whereby something, typically information or knowledge, is successfully passed on. So for example, now inheritance is basically when, so what he's trying to say is, now the cascade effect is basically something because of which the properties from the parents might be transferred to the child based on the inheritance or specificity. This is called as cascading style sheets, or this is called as the cascade effect. Okay, let's add a note here. Because of inheritance, or you can say uh, this effect is cascade means uh, something that is successively passed on. So here, even if we have like, even though we have not styled the child elements, because of specificity or inheritance, the child elements will also get styled. This is the cascade effect. Now we will explore the interrelation between these three mechanisms: specificity, inheritance, and cascade in this chapter. For now, the difference between the later two can be summoned by this way. When we write h1 color red, color blue, the h1 becomes blue because of the cascade, and any other span inside h1 will also become blue because of inheritance. Above all, regardless of how abstracting things may seem, your perseverance will reward you. So inheritance is basically when properties are values from an element to the descendant element. There will be a child. What do you say? Child parent relation here. Relationship. Now specificity. Now element. Okay. Now in chapter 2 or 3, we can use select elements by using a variety of means. Now we can select them by, there are so many director bit selectors. Then we learned about class-based selectors. Now why we use class selectors is, the reason is class selectors we can group them. Then we learned about identity selectors. Now identity selectors again, the role is to give them a unique identity. Then we learned about combinators. For example, what if we want to combine selectors? So the greater than sign will be the descendant. Then plus sign will be like the siblings. Sorry, the adjacent sibling. Adjacent sibling we have where there is no element in between. Now see, if we have multiple selectors, now the goal of this specificity is to determine which selector will work. If we have defined 2 to 3 different rules on the same selector, then there might be a problem. like we might face which selector will cause the effect. Now let's consider the following through rules. Assume that each pair will match the same element h1 color red, body h1 color green. Now again, this is the same elements but the way of writing is different. Now only of the two rules in each pair can be applied or with. Since the matched element can only be one color at a time, how do we know which? So we can do these different types of things, but the problem is we need to understand. We need to check. For example, if we have two selections, we need to check which of them will work and why it's working. The answer is specificity of each selector. For every rule, the user agent evaluates the specificity of the selector, attaches the specificity to each declaration the rule within the cascade layer that has precedence. When an element two or more conflicting declaration property, the one with the highest specificity will win. No, this is the whole story in terms of conflict resolution, which is more complicated in a single paragraph cover. For now, we keep in mind the selector specificity is compared only to other selectors that share the same origin in the cascade layer. It should be the same. The specificity will be compared when the origin is the same. Now, the selector specificity is determined by the components of the selector itself. A specificity value can be expressed in three parts. So it is given in three parts: 0, 0, 0. The actual like what value is determined as follows. For every ID element value given in the selector, add 1. For every class evaluator, the second will be for class. And for every element and pseudo element given in the selector, add 1 at the end. The combinationators do not contribute to specificity. Anything inside a where pseudo class and the universal selector adds 0, 0, 0. While they do not contribute to specificity, they do match elements unlike other combinators. Specificity of is not has is equal to the specificity of the most specific selector in the selector list argument. For example, h1. Now this is an attribute selector, so attribute comes last, so it will be 1. It will be 0, 0, 1. Let's add a note. 0, 0, 0. The first 0 is for ID. Second, let's add 2 dash. Second 0 is for class. Third 0. Third 0 is for attribute. So this is 1 0 defined. Now for example here, now h1 will be zeros. Okay, let's take an example here. So 1 because it is, let's not change it. Now this is 0, comma 0, comma 1. Now here I'm selecting two attributes. So it will be 0, comma 0, comma 2. Now this is 0, comma 1, comma 0. This is universal selector. Universal selector by default is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, I guess. Now this again. The universal selector will be 0, comma 1, comma 0. Then I have p dot byte. Now see, remember this is attributes and this is class. So it will be 0, comma 2, comma 2. This is ID selector. This is 1, comma 0, comma 0. Now this is universal selector, and then okay, so I have one ID and one class. So div is like the HTML thing. Then I have ID. And then I have universal selector. This is class. This is attribute. No, this is ID. This is the aside hash. This is class. This is ID class. What about the specificity? This is for ID hash. Every class attribute value attribute selection. Why is the specificity 111? Specificity. class. This is ID directly. Okay, this is an ID of this is ID. Now when I say okay, so now when I will when okay, there is some mistake. Now class, what's this class attribute in the HTML? Then when we do attribute selection, then we do pseudo class. So when we do class based selectors, like when we do the second element, now this will get a one. Like we will add a value here when it is the attribute is class based, or we have class based attribute means what is trying to say is in the HTML we use the attribute tag, right? Like class, we pass in that as an attribute in the HTML. So for that, and then for any other attribute selectors, and for pseudo class as well. So now on that, when we come to here, now there should be IDs, okay. I see. Now for the last thing, when we see the specificity, let's now this is for ID, this is class, because our HTML tags is also is there, and this is the attribute. This is the element based. The HTML element based element. The last one. So one. Now let's go to the specificity. One is for ID. Mm, this is ID, right? Is there an explanation available for this? The other I was able to get in. What is a side one specificity? Oh, a side is an HTML element you're trying to say? Is it like an HTML tag or something? Oh, this is an HTML tag. I see. This is an HTML tag. Hash one is identity. That is all for this video. We'll be continuing the next one.